Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. Could this horrific economic crisis be an opportunity for large stimulus, for some sort of conditional stimulus? Could it be exactly what we need to take us to a whole new level? Because from our greatest moments of weakness can come our greatest moments of strength. This philosophy is the approach behind an article that you'll see on your screen called The Crisis Opportunity, What It Will Take to Build Back a Better Economy. Now, this article was written by Jason Furman, who was the chair of the Council on Economic Advisors under President Barack Obama. And I did do a video earlier today where I analyzed an interview with Jason Furman where he basically said we shouldn't be worried about the debt. Instead, we should be focused on the debt service. Because interest rates are so low at the moment, essentially they are negative interest rates when you take inflation into account. Since we can handle our debt service, we should be doing a large stimulus. We should be a large, long-lasting stimulus. Well, I'll provide you with a link to this fascinating article in the description section below so you can check it out for yourself. But in this video, I'll highlight the key points which make a case for a large, massive stimulus. In fact, Jason Furman uses the phrase conditional stimulus, and then I'll ask you, does this make sense? I believe that this article makes a lot of sense, and I do believe that our leaders, I believe that people in both Congress, congressmen and congresswomen, as well as senators should pay close attention to some of the data presented by Jason Furman, and I want you to also be the judge. Now, before I get into the fascinating aspect of conditional stimulus, let me highlight what Jason Furman wrote in this article. Again, you can check out the article for yourself. Furman writes, this prognosis is brighter than what most analysts feared in the spring. The recovery, however, is in large part due to the substantial policy response to date, meaning the CARES Act and all the stimulus that's happened so far. And it remains contingent on similar actions going forward. In other words, he's calling for large stimulus. He said the US economy is far from out of the woods. Economic growth since the initial sharp contraction last spring was the easy part. A partial bouncing back of activity akin to what happens after a natural disaster. Businesses reopen, workers go back to their old lives, and at least in some sectors, the economy resumes where it left off. The natural disaster is not over. This, by the way, is what makes the next phase of this economic recovery much more complicated. So Furman writes, the number of new COVID cases remains high and continues to rise. The most important economic policy for a full recovery is to end the disaster itself, which, by the way, is where vaccines come in. Now, before I go any further, I'm not trying to get you to take the vaccine. It doesn't matter to me whether you take the vaccine. I know some of you are like, I'm not going to take the vaccine. That's okay. You know what? I don't care whether you take the vaccine. The only person that cares whether you take the vaccine is you. The vaccine is important because it restores confidence and it allows people to get back to their normal life, and that is how the economy reopens. So let's get back to Furman. The most important economic policy for a full recovery is to end the disaster itself. This means reducing disease transmission through mask use, social distancing, testing, contact tracing, isolating infected people, improving treatments, and eventually the wide distribution of a vaccine. Whatever amount of money the government needs to spend to achieve these objectives would easily pass any form of cost-benefit test. The United States can ill afford not to spend the tens of billions in additional dollars necessary to combat the virus. In other words, we cannot afford not to spend all that money to get rid of the virus. And then Furman writes, the economic problems associated with COVID are likely to persist. However, even once the virus is under control, in addition to the initial natural disaster recession, which has already begun to taper off, the United States is now suffering a more normal recession linked to high unemployment and reduced purchasing power. This is where things get really important. The number of unemployed people who were temporarily laid off, which was a result of the natural disaster recession, has fallen from a high of 18 million in April to nearly 3 million in September. In contrast, the number of unemployed people, this is the dangerous part, who are now permanently laid off, which has to do with the more normal recession, actually rose by almost 3 million during a similar period. Now, I did do a report earlier today where I highlighted a report from the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, which is a watchdog, which actually highlighted that permanent unemployment is on the rise. In fact, you see that chart on your screen right now. Notice the portion that corresponds to permanent unemployment, the red portion. Notice that it's been rising for the past few months, which is really bad, which means more and more individuals are now permanently unemployed. They've been unemployed for several months now, and there's no chance of them getting back to their job because their jobs are gone forever. Individuals in travel, entertainment, leisure, and hospitality have lost their jobs forever. Now, I do recommend you read the entire article by Furman, so I'll provide you with a link to it in the description section below. But this is where things get really interesting. In a section called Conditional Stimulus, Furman writes, one of the lessons the US policymakers learned from the inadequate response in the wake of the Great Recession, this was 12 years ago, was that it is critical to do something large. The CARES Act reflected this. So Furman is essentially, validating the CARES Act. He said it was an impressive and well-timed piece of bipartisan legislation that in its initial months provided an astounding 30% of GDP in fiscal support. The problem, however, was that the legislation did not reflect the second lesson of the financial crisis. Responses to disasters need to be long-lasting. Basically, what he's saying is the CARES Act was good, but it didn't last long enough because the economy needs more long-lasting support, needs more healing, needs more support, needs more strength. He wrote, instead, the Act provided extraordinary support for only about 4 months. We know this because the $600 booster, the unemployment booster, ended at the end of July. We also know that the $1,200 stimulus checks happened only once, and a lot of people didn't get the $1,200 stimulus checks. So Furman writes, after that, most of its provisions expired, leaving a distressed economy without any assistance and a paralyzed Congress and a president unable to agree on action. He's right about that. The House, led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and the Senate, led by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and the President Trump, basically never came to an agreement. All they did was go round and round in circles, and we didn't get anything. So he wrote, that was predictable. Just as during the financial crisis, it was easier for parties to come together in the beginning of the disaster when its effects were most acute. After that, differences over how generous social benefits should be, divergent views on the economy's trajectory and the efficacy of policy, meaning different people have different priorities, and various political considerations all collided to restore the paralysis that has come to characterize the US political system. So I think Furman did an excellent job highlighting what the problems are up to this point. And this is where Furman gets into what I think is really important. By the way, conditional stimulus is almost like the automatic stabilizer method that I have covered elsewhere on my channel, but let's dig into what he's talking about right now. Furman wrote, policymakers must not allow that to happen again, meaning all the gridlock over the past few months. Instead, they should make sure that any future response is both large and long-lasting. No one knows when recessionary conditions might end, so instead of making the policy time-dependent, policymakers should make it context dependent. This is important. In other words, instead of choosing sort of an arbitrary timeline, hey, the benefits expire at the end of July. Why? Well, because we thought that it would be over by July. Guess what? It ain't over until it's over. In fact, it's gotten worse throughout the country. And then we've had the election and then the contesting of the election. So we've had more drama because of the virus and because of the election, and we've had individuals who are now on permanent unemployment through no fault of their own. Again, individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality. So instead of making it time dependent, which by the way is arbitrary because no one knows the future, make it context dependent. So he writes, assistance should be a function of the unemployment rate. This, by the way, is what conditional stimulus means. He says this means that aid would scale up or down automatically with economic conditions and provide hard-hit areas with comparatively more assistance. Keep in mind, if an area is doing badly, it gets more assistance. If an area is doing better, it gets less assistance. This has nothing to do with red states or blue states. For me, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm American. So this is what Furman writes. Within this overall structure, the administration's biggest priority should be expanding and extending unemployment benefits. About 10 million people will likely still be out of work by the time President-elect Biden takes office, and the most disadvantaged workers will be disproportionately affected. I've talked about this earlier in the video. The constraints on job growth will still be more about the absence of opportunity than any lack of effort on the part of job seekers. In other words, if you've lost your job, it's not because you prefer sitting around collecting unemployment. It's because your job is not there. So therefore, you don't have the opportunity that you had before. The local business that you worked at, whether it was travel, leisure, entertainment, hospitality, is gone. So your opportunity is gone. This isn't about a lack of effort from you. This is about you being hit with something beyond your control, and it's not your fault. That's what Furman's talking about. He wrote, Evidence collected by the JP Morgan Chase Institute, moreover, showed that increased unemployment insurance benefits distributed under the CARES Act worked well. He's talking about a $600 unemployment booster that ended at the end of July. He wrote that they lead to increased spending, which in turn created jobs and supported higher incomes. The $600 increase in the weekly benefit the bill created made sense in April and May, but it is too large for the more normal recession the country is likely to experience in the coming years. So this is important. Furman is saying we don't need $600 a week. Well, that's what he's saying. So, I'm the messenger. A new program should propose restoring the extra benefit at $400 per week, or better yet, at a specific fraction of one's previous wages. So in other words, if you earned $30,000 a year, you would get less benefits proportionate to your income relative to somebody who made $70,000 a year. That's what Furman is proposing. And he wrote an amount that could be scaled down automatically based on the unemployment rate. As that rate falls, policymakers need to ensure that they are incentivizing workers to look for jobs. By the way, I've covered this in other videos. Senator Rob Portman was the one from Ohio, was the one who had proposed a back-to-work bonus. It didn't go anywhere, but these are the beginnings of ideas that can hopefully be valuable in the future. Imagine a future in which individuals have a back-to-work bonus. Individuals have automatic unemployment benefits that are directly related to the unemployment rate. There's no waiting. There's no negotiating between the House and the Senate. There's no involvement from the president. It just happens automatically. That is the future. That is the future. That is conditional stimulus. That is the automatic stabilizer method. So he wrote, Furman wrote, as that rate falls, policymakers need to ensure that they are incentivizing workers to look for jobs. In addition, any new program would allow people to continue to receive unemployment insurance for an extended period of time. So let me know what you think. This was a phenomenal article that you can check out on your own. I'll again link to it in the description section below. Let me know what you think about the concept of conditional stimulus and the automatic stabilizer for unemployment benefits going forward. What an incredible day. What an incredible news cycle. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. If you learn something new from this video, please consider clicking the like button. Please share this video with friends and family. Please ignite that subscribe button and ignite that notification button, because the name of our channel is Ignition Time. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. East Coast time. Get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and then you'll get added to SMS alerts list going forward. If you want, you can also get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and you can get added to our email list. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. So please make sure to follow us on Instagram. You can also, if you want, follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Follow us on Twitter to get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter. Now, sometimes YouTube does not always send out notifications on time. That happens with technology. We're living in an age of technology. All you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. And then you can visit the homepage of our channel and watch our videos at any point in time that you want. I think you'll find that extremely beneficial. As always, if you learn something new from this video, please consider sharing this video with friends and family so that we can help grow our community. Also, keep in mind that you can always comment below and participate in our growing community. Our community is growing. We are bipartisan, we are respectful, we are intelligent, and you'll make some new friends in our community. Keep in mind, for us in our community, it's not about the red or the blue, it's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm American. So for us, it's about putting the country first and not really getting into arguments about whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, pro-Biden or anti-Biden. Keep in mind that on this channel, I'll report the truth. I'll report the truth as it emerges. And, I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. I'm not pro-Biden. I'm not anti-Biden. I will report the news as it comes out. And so that is what you're going to get on this channel. You're not going to get any false hope. You're not going to get any hype. You're not going to get some clickbait like, stimulus check approved when there's nothing approved. And this channel is more than a stimulus channel. This channel is about matters that are important to the economy and matters that are important to your money. So So again, this channel is about country, economy, and money. Once again, if you learned something new from this video, please consider sharing this video with friends and family. You will always find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. So definitely check out our description section. One last time, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.